We did not have to wait long on trade deadline day to get our blockbuster. We're checking in with Javier Reyes from Locked On Padres, Juan Soto on the move. A lot of prospects going back the other way. Immediate thoughts. Were you excited? How did they get this deal done? Like, what was your immediate thought?
I mean, I was pretty calm. I was relaxed. It's much
Okay.
like when you're reading a book on the beach. No, of course I was excited, man. It was absolutely nuts. I'm in the middle of work. It's funny because the deal was a lot of people drew a lot of comparisons to last year Padres and Max Scherzer, the
Okay.
deal that didn't go through. So a lot of people were waiting, like, all right, when's the other shoe going to drop? When is this not going to happen?
Right.
And then it did, and it's probably the biggest blockbuster trade that the league has seen in a very long time. I lost my
Mhm.
mind. There were a bunch of conflicting reports at first. There's a deal with and whether or not he would be sent to nationals in this trade. It
Mhm.
seems like he's declined that as of now because he has a no trade clause. So naturally, Padres fans are losing it. But there's so many areas
Yep.
to dissect this trade. But the number one thing is yes, the Padres acquired Juan Soto, one of the best young players that's probably ever been dealt. Honestly, in baseball history, I don't mean to be hyperbolic or anything, but that's kind of where we're at. And AJ Preller, man, the guy's a madman, and he clearly is ready to pull the trigger on anything.
How did he get this done exactly? Because Juan Soto like obviously declined that option. He's got a couple years left. It didn't have to be done at this deadline, but to get this move done, what does that say about your GM being able to do that?
It says a lot, not just about AJ Preller, I might add, is also about the rest of baseball. That I think that this deal, a lot of people, they always mock up these giant packages, right? They're like, this is what it
Mhm.
would take. And then the actual reality is that it never costs as much. Now, the Padres did give up a lot. They gave up
Mhm.
Mackenzie Gore, who looked awesome for a lot of this year. They gave up CJ Abrams, their top prospect, one of the top guys of baseball. Robert Hassel is involved in this deal. I believe James Wood is involved in this deal as well. I don't know for sure, though. Again, there's so many things flying around. Jarlin
Yeah, yeah.
Souza, an interesting Dominican prospect. So they did give up stuff, certainly. But the thing is that I have a hard time believing that no other team in baseball could have done this, right? I think that there's a lot
Mhm.
of teams that could have tried. I think your Cleveland Guardians could have tried. I think your Baltimore Orioles could have tried. Sure, those teams aren't the level of blockbuster and like Hollywood effect that maybe the Padres have right now. But
Mhm.
I think that it says a lot about baseball too, that the Padres and Cardinals and Dodgers are the other rumors that they were kind of the only teams in on this. But AJ Preller, he's done a lot of moves. Not all of them have really worked out. Obviously, the Tatis one has. He's pretty decent. But we'll
Yeah.
have to see how this affects them going forward. Because in fairness, I know Nationals fans are probably upset. They did get some pretty decent prospects in return.
Now, looking forward, obviously, towards playoff time here, we have to look and kind of see whether or not this addition is really going to help them going forward. Obviously, it will in the short term, but will this get them over the hump when it comes to playoff time?
Well, that's the big question, man. And look, it wouldn't be a Padres kind of interview thing without me taking a shot at the Dodgers. Look, everybody's always saying the Dodgers have the best team and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And they still probably have a better team than the Padres. But with the exception of 2020, I don't know, man. I don't know. I could ask you. I mean, it feels like the Dodgers are primarily known for blowing it in the playoffs, with exception
Hmm.
of the truncated 2020 season. So the Padres could easily lose. The Dodgers could easily lose. Don't get me wrong. But it's really anybody's
Yeah.
game. And it just, at the minimum, it shows that the Padres are very serious about winning. There's reports that they are thinking about extending. They could give Juan Soto the big extension. So this team, small market Padres, showing that they're ready to compete and they're ready to go out at any moment. And that's not even to mention they acquired the best closer in the game and it's pitchers yesterday. So it's just
They're making the moves they need to contend, obviously. And, with
Mhm.
this deal getting done, it doesn't guarantee Soto's going to be there past 2.5 more years, right? So do you think this gives them a leg up? Obviously, he's probably going to want to hit free agency, but could this hopefully help them get, be at least be in the mix?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that with the 2.5 years thing is key because the Padres have some expensive contracts on their team, like the aforementioned Eric Hosmer. We'll see if he gets moved. Maybe a third team gets involved. There's conflicting reports on that. But for now, he's not heading to the Nationals. But there's also guys like Will Myers who comes off the books this year, extra $20 million. And then you Darvish and Blake Snell after next season are guys that come off the books. So maybe that's what they're thinking, is that room will clear up an amount of it that they could give that money to Soto. Maybe not this offseason, but maybe at some point next year. They want to see how everything breaks. Because again, they did just give Joe Musgrove a big deal. They acquired Josh Hader. Like, there's a lot of money going around, and Seidler and Padres ownership should be commended in a kind of era and time period in which there's a lot of teams that aren't spending anything, right? The Milwaukee Brewers are in first place and traded Josh Hader to the Padres. I know there's concerns with him. I get that. But bottom line is, it's weird. You're in first place and you don't have a high payroll. I believe they're like 20th or 22nd, around that area. They should be, if anything, that's what it shows you about baseball. So I don't know, but commend the Padres for trying, man, in a sport that seems to not have as many triers these days as it maybe once did.
They were buyers, certainly the biggest deal of the day. Javier Reyes from Locked On Padres. He'll have more on this for you for days and weeks and months to come, I'm sure. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. We did it.